hear me, right? I can hear you. I can hear you. I think we're good to go. Yeah. We can start in 1 second, and that's seconds now. All right, this is the Crunchcast number 8. Might as well have called it the Crunchcast that almost didn't happen. For plenty of reasons, but boy, right as soon as we were about to record this, all my audio just cut out and stopped and wouldn't work. And as in
a harrowing tale.
As in nothing would record. I tried it all, but I tried plugging into every kind of input, restarting, rebooting, changing all this stuff, but eventually it just started working again. So yay, we're back. And then had some weird other video issues and whatnot. Whew. Anyway,
technology.
We made it happen. But who are we? I'm Chris Holden, game developer. Here's my buddy John Jones, a game developer. We make video games.
We're a very diverse crowd.
Absolutely.
So, indeedly do. And I don't think we actually had a topic tonight yet, did we?
No, we kind of talked about it, but we didn't. I was just going to lead into it, I guess. We've talked about portfolios before on the show, and last time we talked about it a little more, but not really focusing on the portfolio itself, I guess. And we're just, I guess,
it's just general marketing advice, just basic presentation rather than the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah, I mean, we got into it a little bit last episode, but we felt there was a lot that should have been talked about more. And since it's something that is near and dear to both of us, something we deal with all the time, it's easy for us to talk about for a long time. But before we get into all that, just wanted to put this out there about guests on the show. Yes, we can do Skype. We can do in studio here in Denver. If you're interested, got something to say, let's talk.
Why do you have me on here?
Yeah, let's talk. Let's make it happen. And
anything, get this John Jones fuck out of here.
2 episodes. No, your last one did really good. It was good stuff. It got a reply, so that's good.
Fame.
Yeah. Well, hey, one person knows who you are in South Africa.
No, 2. I've worked with an artist in South Africa.
Nice. It's probably the same person.
Quite possibly. David Strauss. Dude is fucking amazing. Like one of the coolest artists I've ever worked with. Awesome dude.
Right on.
Google that shit.
Right on. You know, one thing about technical difficulties and how far in we are, we're at episode number 8 now. And my original intent was just get the cheapest equipment I could, the most basic setup. If it works out, if we get in a few episodes, that's great. If it doesn't work out, I didn't lose much money. But the plan is by episode 10, if we get there, that's when I'm gonna upgrade. But how
HD?
Yeah, I know, maybe. But how's a poor guy?
By 50, let's be 3D.
Yeah, stereoscopic. Anyway, how's a poor guy like me gonna do that? Well, maybe someday. I don't know how this would work out, what we'd even do, but God, it'd be great to get some sort of sponsorship or something, maybe. A little opener.
That would be rather nifty. I would be very pleased to shill any product thrust in front of me for free.
Sure, and I don't. Like I said, I don't know. What do you do? What do you sell to gamers? Do you talk about some sort of school or some sort of program, or maybe a video game you want us to talk about? I don't know, but hey,
entirely possible.
Yeah, you never know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Spread the word, brothers.
I feel like we got some more special guest stars, just interesting developer types.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe someone with like a great big game that's going to be coming out soon. I could trawl through my contacts and see who'd be interested in that. I'm actually doing a similar sort of thing with my, here's a plug, my Game Pitches website. Did I talk about that last time? I forget.
Maybe a little bit, but you go ahead and tell anybody what that site is.
Okay. I run a website called gamepitches.com, pitches with a P. It's a repository for all sorts of the pitch documents for a wide variety of games, like the initial pitch that got the game signed, as well as the design docs for many of these games, including BioShock and Fallout 1, which is actually an exclusive to my site. The wonderful Tim Kane, who is a producer on the original project, gave me permission to post and use that, and that's pretty cool. There are a lot of games on there that weren't necessarily greenlit, but basically I put up there so designers and young biz dev types can look at, how the pros do it, what went right, what went wrong, what did or didn't end up in the final game. But I have a quasi, well, not quite a sponsorship, more of a promotion sort of deal coming up very soon with an organization I can't name yet. But I'm actually working on talking to different game designers and having them just basically pick a pitch that they like, and then just do a basic write-up of it, just like a designer's analysis, and just everything from, here's let's say, okay, here's what made it to the final game, here's what didn't, here's why I think that might have happened, here's something from my own experiences that did or didn't work, here's how they did this right, here's how they did this wrong, this is why I think they didn't make it. Basically just an experienced designer's perspective on that, and I'm going to try and get a few designers to do it. Exactly. Except for some that didn't work on it.
That'd be fantastic. It would be cool to get people on here that make games that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, so I'll start pimping that out as I'm on my whole biz dev, getting people to do things for me warpath.
Don't be scared, homie. Can you talk? Can you talk for 90 minutes? Jump in.
Gosh,
we did it. Look,
yeah.
Look, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
If I can do it, I'm a douche, man. I don't even think about what I'm saying when I'm saying it. I just, like last time, just 90 minutes went by like that. We're talking about shooting gorillas from helicopters and portfolios and your best friend, the fuck yoy guy.
It was a good time. What are you drinking beer out of a boot? What is that?
I'm drinking beer out of a boot. I have a friend here in Austin that does amazing.
Hold it up over your face, because you're holding it to the side, so no one can really see it. There it is. That's silly. It is a boot. Nice.
Full of a wonderful IPA. A buddy of mine runs. He homebrews a lot, just a ridiculous amount, and for his friends, he runs a monthly beer club. So you brews a new batch every weekend, and basically 4 weeks later, ish. Anywhere from 4 to 8 to 12 weeks later, that batch is ready, and so for basically $25 a month, his friends get whatever the hell he brews that month, and just a ton of beer. I didn't get beer for like 2 or 3 months, and I have a refrigerator right now full of like 8 or 9 growlers full of a million different kinds of beer, and yeah, I'm in a happy place right now. It's a good friend to have.
Right on. How's this beer night thing you're doing? How's that going?
It's going swimmingly. We actually, tomorrow, Beer Night is quasi-sponsoring a live video game music event that a couple professional DJ/game developers from a company called Funky Rustic are putting together at my favorite venue, Mr. Tramps in Austin. So my game developer Beer Night I've been running for a couple years. We have, I think we're just about to hit 700 members. We get together every 2-3 weeks at it's a great European sports bar here in town. The good tap selection, great wait staff, and we get anywhere from like 60 to 120 developers at a time. I think average is maybe around 75 every couple weeks, which ain't bad. It's been going about that rate for the last year and a half. But yeah, I don't really. It's completely word of mouth. I don't promote it. I don't really tell people about it. It's just developers tell developers, and they join the group. I've kept it out of the eye of organizations that tend to have a lot of aspiring game dev newbies, because honestly, actually, this could be a little mini topic. Something that most game developers I know are annoyed by is whatever. People like young kids, students, whatever, that want to get into games. And see, inherently there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of the time they can be really fucking annoying. You're just like, hey, how do I get games? Tell me, look at my portfolio. Jesus, yeah. So I keep my beer night out of organizations like that. So it's actually mostly real dads. What's up?
Being touched. I don't mean like a bad touch. I mean like anybody getting their own, they get freaked out.
Really? Do tell.
It's just something I've noticed over the years. Plenty of them are just kind of like that.
Well, I can kind of relate. I've never touched another human being in my life.
Weird.
It's how I roll.
I mean, for me, I'm not like a touchy-feely guy, but I did wrestling for a couple years, so nothing really bothers me like that. Like whatever.
That's true. That's a good way of breaking you the no touchy thing.
Yeah. Actually, we had a guy come to our class one time that was kind of like that. Like he was a young guy that was a bit introverted, and so he was kind of weird about that. So I'm like, oh, forget about that fear. You're gonna get over that fast. Oh, and hey, go ahead.
Oh, just throwing yourself into a situation like that, where let's say you have a big hang-up or like a fear or just something you need to overcome, forcing yourself and throwing yourself into a situation like that where you have no choice but to, deal with it or fail horribly, in my experience, has been a really good way of growing really, really quickly.
Yeah,
I think people have I've done it fairly well. Like every job I've ever taken, in most contracts I've taken, I feel like they're about 10 to 20% too big for what I can do, but I grow and rise to meet the challenge. Like remember liquid development when I went into sales?
Oh yeah, you switched it up.
Dude, I couldn't look people in the eye. The first time I met you, I was all just like, meh,
yeah, you were very isolated from the world growing up. We talked about that.
Yeah, but so when I was working at Liquid Development in Art Studio, I had an interest in sales and marketing on top of the art that I was doing, and they had a need. So that ended up being a lot of my income. So basically, I'm this super shy guy. I just moved across the country, living on my own for the first time. And congratulations, John, you're in sales. So sell or you're fired. And that wasn't what they said, but I mean, if I don't sell, I don't make money. Yeah, basically. But they're super cool about it. They did a great job giving me a chance and just giving me room to kind of grow and do my thing. But that broke me of shyness. Because when you have to survive, you'll do damn near anything. Just like your hang-ups about touching sweaty wrestlers.
Yeah, you get over a lot of that stuff. And there's a lot of times when people say, like they'll refer to something like, oh, that's good. I'm like, what? Because you're getting near somebody and touching them. It's like, well, when you're getting beat up, it's the least of your worries.
It's like getting the hell kicked out of you is probably one of the least gay things I think.
And you know what? And this is something that I've suggested this to plenty of people. Do something like a martial art, or anything like that where there's a lot of physical release, so it's good for your mind and body, but at the same time you're being humbled. Like if you go into any jiu-jitsu school and just immediately start rolling with some guy and he's just going to be tapping you. He's going to tap you 150 times in their first session. He's literally just going to beat you up, maybe.
You'll be in the bathroom and he'll make you tap out.
Whoa.
Follow you home.
The point is, saying people, especially that don't have anything really hard labor they're doing during the day, they should pay someone to beat them up. Because it would help them so much. I know a lot of people that are kind of like, they just need to relax. They need to get something out. There's something animalistic inside them that you see it. Like I can see it in people, because you can tell when you've been around fitness and stuff long enough, when somebody has a lot of bottled up energy that they're negatively outputting to the world because they don't have that release, and there's
no outlet.
Yeah, they don't have the outlet for it, and their body and mind wants that. Like I said, you don't want to just get beat up, but the idea is that's getting released. You're being humbled. You're being put back in the line. Anyway, just something.
That's interesting.
It's good
that's
advice.
Actually exactly
pay somebody
why I
to
decided
beat you
to become John Jones, the UFC champion.
Yeah. You almost made it.
Very nearly. One day.
Anyway,
but no, that's actually a really great point. Just back to what you're saying about the guy that had issues with being with like touching and stuff. Did he end up sticking with it and getting over it?
Oh, that guy. No, he was out pretty quick. He
inspiring.
No, he had a lot of I don't want to say faults isn't the word. He didn't have anything really wrong with him. He just wasn't ready. It just wasn't for him. he was a really small guy. He was really not dedicated to it. Like, yeah, he's just a young kid. He's like a teenager. All he was thinking about was hanging out with his buddies and not putting in the time that it would take. And he would do dumb things like wear a lip ring into class, and then
You fucking kidding me?
that got ripped out in a second.
Oh, seriously? Oh.
Yeah, just by just grappling, rolling on the ground, man. Somebody
that doesn't
rolls over your face. Anything that's in it's getting pulled out.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised at that. I'm surprised that that he didn't think that through, and that they let him in the ring with that. Look, I mean, ultimately it's his responsibility.
Well, yeah, I think. Well, if that's one of those things where there's a lot of hard knocks that come involved, like people will look at it and say, "Oh, you shouldn't have that in," and it's not till the time that it gets pulled out that he finally realizes that he probably shouldn't have it in while just training.
It's like, oh, this suddenly makes sense.
Yeah, it's.
See, actually, that was one of my main. Well, not that I'm like in not that I have like kind of lifestyle where I get into a lot of fights, but actually, did I tell you I got the eyebrow piercing?
Yeah.
Had you noticed?
Maybe we talked about it last time. We made some jokes.
Oh shit, that's right. It's been a while. It's been a long day and a long week. But that was actually one of my weird little misgivings. I'm wondering, like, what kind of situations could I find myself in where this could get ripped out really easily, either accidentally or out of some kind of revenge.
Oh yeah, like taking off or putting on a helmet really fast, or like a snow cap, like a toboggan hat.
Yeah. Oh Christ, yeah.
Luckily, you live in Texas, so you'll never have to wear one ever, except for fashion.
Yeah, dude, especially not lately. 3 months, 100+ degrees. Jesus. But
how many people? How many people died?
No one cares.
Cool.
we don't count. It doesn't outpace the number of people we put to death every day.
Yeah, or the people that get dropped in the Mexican drug war right now.
Yeah, that's. I hear that's as far north as San Antonio now.
Scary, man. A war zone.
Yeah. I've actually I've been down to Mexico along the Texas border a few times, and they actually have like a shitload of army dudes down there, like with M4s, and they have a Humvee with an M60, like facing in toward Mexico, and they're always guys at the border, just like weapons ready, probably a couple dozen soldiers at all times. I've never seen any shit go down there, but I mean. It seems like anytime there's some kind of weird drug thing or like drug war thing going on in Mexico, like in the U.S. we'll hear like 2 people killed, 3 people killed. In Mexico, the drug owners are so fucking hardcore. It's like 1,700 people decapitated.
Yes, that's
and then thrown over the border.
It's no joke, man.
Then immediately deported.
Oh, you. Hey, people that live in Texas know what's up, or don't, based on political la-di-da. So hey, check this out.
Let's talk politics.
Let's talk about portfolios, because that's totally cool.
Indeedly do. So right now, for those of you that don't know, I run my own company right now called Smartest for Smart Artists. I know.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard. I'm going to punch you in the balls. Listen to that last podcast for that story, folks.
The time I got punched in the balls 100 times because I told someone the name of my company.
So yeah, okay, so you do the Smartest thing.
So I'm a contract art producer.
And
I get studios.
You've been doing this forever. How long have you been? When do you think was the first time you actually had to hire somebody for some sort of reason?
Well, actually, it was, when I was working on Nano Legends with you, when I had to, when I got the job at Right at Dawn, I had to roll off. I couldn't do art anymore outside of that, and I brought on someone who shall not be named, and Barry Collins, and that whole thing. That was the first time I was sort of like quasi running / hiring artists. I guess that was early 05?
I was just going to my own website to look at my resume.
Okay,
yeah,
so
we did that
something like 6 years.
Yeah, it started in April 2004. That's when we actually started production.
Okay.
So
I remember.
So if you were art managing on that, then
to a limited extent, my first real big thing was NCSoft in 06 on Dungeon Runners. I ran the art department, built up a fully outsourced art team, basically rebuilt all the art pipelines from scratch because they weren't documented, and that was a hell of a thing.
I remember that. I remember you talking
But
about
honestly, that was one of the best professional working experiences I ever had because I got so much room to
You contracted
experiment.
me.
I did.
Made, what was it, 16 weapons? It ended up being, when you had all the different elemental things, it was like 64 or something like that.
I think it was maybe a little off on this. I think like 2.4 billion weapons with the texture variations.
Jeez.
Something like
Not
that.
all me, that's everybody in total, by the way. I was just saying what I did.
No, that was just you. So some games have like different elements, like fire, ice, water, whatever, in different texture variations for those. We actually had a different texture variation for every element on the periodic table. That ended up being a little more expensive and a little less meaningful than we'd hoped, but it was a bold experiment. It happens.
It wasn't a bad little game. I liked it.
I enjoyed it.
Well, I couldn't play it forever just because it's a bit repetitive, but it was fun. It was solid.
With what we had, I think we did a really good job. Those guys are most of those guys are working over either Certain Affinity or Portalarium now. But anyway, company now. So I've people come to me, like companies, whatever, saying, "Hey, I need art for this or that. Can you recommend someone?" And then I have just a huge my league of artists, I call them, just people mostly people I've known for years and can rely on and trust. Just so a client will come to me saying, "Hey, I need 18 sci-fi characters over the next 3 months." I'm like, "Oh, I know the perfect guy for that, or the perfect studio, this or that." And then I bring them on and basically just manage the art all the way through that. But lately, I've been soliciting environment artists and UI artists. So the past few days, I've been going through emails, looking at everybody's portfolio. And holy crap, I thought UI artists were really, really hard to find, but apparently I wasn't asking in the right places because I'm overwhelmed with how many there are and how many crazy, crazy good ones there are. But that being said, not all their portfolios are super hot. But I've just been noticing a few new little things that I may have passively noticed in the past, but never really, analyzed critically like I am now.
Wouldn't it be weird a UI artist would have a bad website?
Isn't that funny? Remember that one I showed you earlier?
Oh, that one was so weird. I really didn't understand what this person did. I saw a whole bunch of different things that kind of looked neat, but I just really didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, it was.
Like when you look at a Supreme Pizza for the very first time, and you see all these ingredients on it, and you're like, say you're a little kid, first time you saw a Supreme Pizza, you're like, what is that? Like
May 16th, 1994.
Yeah, I
remember the day.
Well, that's an olive. Well, what's an olive? When you're a little kid, you don't know.
That grape has a hole in it.
Exactly. It was like that. It was like looking at Supreme Pizza. It was so much
for the first time.
Yeah, for the first. It's not knowing what any of these ingredients are. I like cheese and pepperoni.
That was pretty much it. Like all the work looked really good, but there was no contact information, and his name wasn't really on the website in a way that described what he did. It's like there's like this huge mishmash of work, and it looked good, but it was sort of hard to pick apart and see. But so I just, like we've always been saying, put your name on the site, which I see more and more, which is good. But just put your name and just say you do. Right? Like that one you sent me earlier with like all the weird cel-shaded stuff spinning around. I have no idea who the hell that guy was. He's really good. I'd like to contact him, but
I'll look up his name. Sorry, I actually, like I said, because we had this podcast previously set up to run and the sound went down, I had all my notes and I had all my lists down here. Then I had to reboot. And on top of that, like, this is my home PC is a new PC, and I haven't really bookmarked everyone. Mm-hmm. Where if I have my bookmarks from work, I have this huge long list of portfolios that I've bookmarked. Not because maybe this guy isn't the best artist or whatever, or it's the best website, but just because this person looks hireable, this person looks good. So I just have tons of ridiculous amounts of these things.
You should use like a bookmark syncing thing. I do that for basically everything I have. No matter what computer I pick up, I have all my bookmarks, all my settings, all that crap. It's pretty easy. I'll show you how at some point if you'd like.
Cool.
It's pretty nifty.
Okay, it's
Wait, was it what shit on my face talk? No, that's a different guy.
This is Order in Debris, or spelled debris. .com. It's all is one word, no spaces.
Yeah, press.
Yeah, the site's just a list of. It's just a blank page with just a list of images. So there's charm in that. Yeah, the art's really good, and some of the renders are really weird, like a weird cell shading or like really stylish thing. So I really like it. I think it's cool. To me, I'm like
I'm kind of expecting to get like a call in 7 days telling me I'm gonna die, but it's worth looking at. It's a good site.
no, it's one of the things I like about it. You know, usually we talk about the design of a portfolio and blah blah blah, but the fact that this is just a row of images and nothing else, the art stands out because there's nothing else there. There's literally nothing else there. But the guy, it's Jacob Heine. Sorry. It goes by the forum name Tactic Math.
What was that link again? I completely forgot. I wanted to view the source on the page to see if there's like any HTML at all. Was it order and debris?
Yeah, I'll shoot it your way here.
All right. Oh, yep, I got it.
Yeah, somebody recently had a it's so simple. Yeah. It's cool.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Somebody made a
it's like
recent
65 page or lines of HTML. Anyway, sorry, go on. I'm just amused.
Somebody recently had one of those, how do I make a website portfolio threads, and there was one person that replied with just the HTML code of an image, like how to get the bracket img equals and the print. If you know HTML code, you know what we're talking about. You know, it's just the code for how to put an image on a website. and then it was like the bracket br close bracket right after that, and he said this is all you need. Then you just copy and paste it and change your image, and that's literally what his site is, and to me that's cool. I respect that.
It's I'd like to know what his goddamn name is.
Oh, I told you.
Or how to contact him.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Like I said, it's not on there. Like I said, I hope I don't say his name or last name wrong, but it's Jacob Hina or Hina Hina. But he goes by Tactic Math on the forums, and he's pretty well known for posting a lot of turns with guys with big calves.
I found a Jacob Heine who is an officer at U.S. Army in the Hawaiian Islands. I don't think that's the guy.
Anyway, let's move off of him because it's a cool site. But,
yeah.
On one of the previous podcasts, I talked about Skanker Zero's site.
Oh, dude, yeah.
And you know the one. I don't even know if I talked about this before, but either way, it's a funny story. It's kind of how this podcast is already working to change the world.
The world? Oh my God!
The whole world.
We're making a difference.
Not just the bottom of the Atlantic. The whole world. No.
The bottom of the Atlantic does deserve some special attention.
There was some IGDA meeting in Texas, and it made the news actually. And he was on it.
The picnic?
Yeah, the picnic they had.
Yeah. I bailed on that.
But apparently, he sends me a. Shoot, I gotta load up his site just so I can speak more accurately on it.
Actually, yeah, Skanker, Jesse. I went to lunch with him and Tracy the other day.
Is that it, Sosa?
Yeah, Jesse Sosa. He's been coming out to the beer nights. Super cool dude.
Yeah, I like it.
I'd never met him in person before. But no, fucking awesome dude. Crazy talented artist.
What he did is he sent me a PM the other day, and somebody that he didn't know came up to him and said, "Hey, I know you because they talked about your portfolio on this podcast."
Oh shit, that was him? Oh, that's awesome.
I thought that was neat.
You're internet famous.
Yeah.
Well, he's slightly more internet famous.
I'm not necessarily looking for fame so much as just getting some like-minded ideas out there for people, but
fame will come, my friend.
Oh, dude,
fame will come. And see, one day you may actually be able to make money at this game development.
That would be interesting.
Keep telling you, just don't keep selling yourself as an intern.
God, if I could only make money. No, it's even before we did all this stuff. I go to all those game shows all the time. I don't get to go to every single one of them, but I get to go to a lot. So it's to that point now where people just walk up to you and they're like, "Hey, you're so and so." I'm like, "Yes, I am," which is cool.
Yeah, it's actually because of my beer night thing, I get that a surprising amount. Like 3 times when I go out around town, I get recognized for some shit or another.
Isn't that weird?
Like,
well, you have
today
a
I ran
unique look to it. You do your hair colors and stuff.
That is true. Actually, it is more impressive that you get noticed. Of course, you're also like Sasquatch scale.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like 6'4". Actually, it was pretty funny. One of the guys that I always run into at the shows, I think he said when he first saw this podcast, he didn't recognize me because I wasn't wearing a suit.
Well, that's on you, buddy.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's... It's interesting to think I have a reputation of being a guy that dresses nice, whereas I always dress like this.
Do you?
Every day this week I've worn Chucks, ankle-high socks, like khaki cargo shorts, and a white V-neck T-shirt, that comes with like a pack of 4. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm wearing the same shorts every day. That's just because I'm biking to work. I'm not gonna look nice.
Yeah, I mean that's what you do. You bike. You're not gonna be, you're not gonna like Mormon it up all over town.
Yeah, it'd be totally sweet to be.
Wait, is it Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses? I know they're both annoying. They knock on doors. I can't remember which one rides
usually
bikes.
rock the bikes with the black slacks, the white shirt, and the black tie. So they almost look like they're in a ska band, but they don't have that fedora. Dude, the difference between a Mormon and somebody in a ska band is the fedora hat. What's the difference?
Dude, I can't tell you how many times I've had ska bands come to my door.
Hey, we're playing tonight at this bar. You gonna make it? I play trombone.
So do I. Oh, so do most half of us.
Weird. Anyway, so we were talking about portfolios. We're talking about how we like portfolios.
Yeah. One thing I noticed today, don't say you're a concept artist if all you have in your portfolio is super loose artsy illustrations that don't give a modeler any detail he can work from.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, there's
drawings
art.
Don't count either.
Oh, fuck no. I mean, it's nice to know that you can understand the human form, but, well, okay, granted, I don't draw. I mean, I've always been purely digital. I'm a character artist, I'm texture artist, that whole thing. But I don't draw, so maybe it's just me, but I personally don't find life drawing in a portfolio to be all that meaningful.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people
life drawing
disagree
to me it's just like, this is so, there's no value. Because I've been to life drawing classes, and I don't normally, I like to draw. I used to a lot when I was younger, but I just, the way everything's been going, I've been kind of focused a little bit differently, more technical and environment stuff. Anyway, point is, when I did life drawing, I went to this one class, and I had all these drawings that I saved them because I was so surprised how good they looked. I'm like, God, this is perfect. This looks great. This looks better than this other guy over here who's...
Craig Mullins.
Yeah, there's this guy over here that I know that I work with as a good concept artist, and he's just crapping them out. And I'm like, what the... And at that point, that's when I knew that pretty much anybody can life draw and get a decent enough result.
When I see life drawing, all it really tells me is I spent a few hours in a room with a naked guy.
No, life drawing is cool. Don't get me wrong. It's very awesome, very helpful to your abilities.
For the reasons I just mentioned.
But however, you know how when someone says something like, say someone followed a tutorial, and
someone followed a tutorial.
They followed a tutorial, and they unregrettably put that tutorial piece in their portfolio.
Oh God!
So that means,
that kills me.
So that means, okay, now you have the same piece that everybody that did that portfolio or did that tutorial has. Everybody has that damaged pillar.
There's only going to be one guy that does it the best, and that's the guy that wrote the fucking tutorial.
Right. So check this out. Basically what you're saying is this is not a piece that I did that shows any skill. It's just a piece where I'm learning a skill. It's a practice piece, and that's what life drawing is. Life drawing is you practicing.
Excellent point.
To do something good. Not something good, but an original piece.
You're on your way to doing something.
And that's what a tutorial.
Might be.
And the same thing is the same thing. If you have a piece that's a tutorial or a recreation of someone else's art, then this is not you showing the execution of the knowledge. It's you just reproducing something else.
That is an excellent point. I learned a thing from
Yeah,
you.
well, so it's of no value. Like I said, when I see it, I'm like, well, I can't learn anything from this. What else you got? That's basically what I say.
Basically.
I can't learn anything about the
Actually,
artist.
Funny, excellent point, and actually funny anecdote relating to putting like tutorial or art test shit in a portfolio.
Art tests.
So I did that IGDA, how to market yourself better as an artist speech, and afterward I had like 3 or 4 people come up to me just saying like, hey, that was a great talk, really enjoyed listening to you, and yeah, that part about putting art tests in a portfolio, fuck! Every single one of them is just like, oh god, I totally do that. I mean, it still happens. It's just, if an art test is in your portfolio and the portfolio gets sent around and you're trying to get a job, the fact that art test is in your portfolio says, I failed.
Yeah. Check this out. I had this kind of bottom line answer on putting an art test in a portfolio. And I'm
good at bottom line answers.
I immediately got trolled because someone's like, no, there's more options. Like, yeah, there's more options, but I like the ones that get us hired. Check this out. If you've got an art test and
Failure's an option.
Yeah. If you have an art test that you did, if you succeeded with the art test, there's a pretty good chance that you got the job. Now, if you got the job, that means that you're making a bunch of new original assets for the job in a similar style of the art test. Therefore, all those pieces are of greater value than the art test. Now, even that the fact that you passed the art test, that's cool. The art test that I did when I went into Mythic, which I passed and worked there for years, and it was great.
That thing was
I
cool.
love that art test, man. I would love to just post it and be like, look at this shit, woo! But, you know, it's, like I said, it's of no value next to the fact that I have, I can't even tell you, like dozens and dozens of assets from that game that are, you know, original, only I made them kind of assets. So it's of way more value. But forget about the fact that if you pass the test, then you have more assets. However, I will throw this out as a quick anecdote because this happened to me. I've done an art test that I passed, and then the company lost their deal. And I actually had that art test in my portfolio for a very short amount of time, but that was when my portfolio was kind of in shambles, and I just needed to work on it. But like I said, it was a positive result art test.
It was a couple months, right? A couple months ago?
Yeah, last week. No, this was years and years ago. But check this out.
You should probably edit that out.
What part?
It's like, yeah, last week. I mean, wait, shit, what? But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, on the other hand, if you just totally failed the art test, if you did the art test and they just never got back to you, then that shouldn't be shown to anyone ever. Unless, you know, if you're proud of it, I mean, that's one thing. But, you know, that's a personality fault. Don't let it get in the way of your career. I did some art tests that didn't pan out, and who knows really the reason why. But, yeah, I don't want anybody to look at those things.
Yeah, I had a piece like that. Well, you know the one I'm talking about. It was like a 2-week-long art test. I put a character together. It was just in a style to specs I'd never really done before. And granted, you know, honestly, I didn't do the greatest job on it, but I did spend 2 fucking weeks on it. Studio never even acknowledged they received it. Never got back to me. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
From my side of things, if someone emails me or responds to me, or if they're going to like do an art test or submit something to me, I may be busy. It may take me a little time to get back, but I'm not always perfect, but I do try my damnedest to get back because, you know, you showed me the respect of trying to do something for me, spending your time on something to try and, you know, prove yourself and do your thing and put it in front of me. The least I can do is show you respect and acknowledge the respect that you showed me by telling you just telling you what's up, giving you some feedback on it. That can be super time consuming, you know, like if you're, you know, crunching or whatever, maybe delayed, but seriously, the very least you can do as like a hiring manager or art director is just give them a little time, you know, I mean, just tell them what's up.
Yeah, dude, I feel, you know, what sucks is when you try to get one of your buddies that you know is really good, you're trying to get them in front of your bosses or the people that you need to sell them to, and then they do an art test and they blow it. Or like they do all right, or like, but they're like behind, or something. They do something where they mess it up, and it's like, oh, dude, you're my friend. Come on. I'm out there for you. You shouldn't have did that. Yeah, you ruined it for you because now you don't have the job, but you also hurt me because But on the other hand, I've had situations where I had a friend do an art test, and I was like, yeah, this is great. Bosses, here it is. Can you at least just get back to him and let him know yes or no, anything? And they just never got back to him. And it's like, even when you're on the inside, things that happens.
Yeah.
So, like you said, when a company didn't get back to you, there was probably a guy going, well, why won't anybody tell this guy?
I found out through other back channels kind of what was going on. It amounted to, the AD is a gigantic douche.
Sure.
And I'm really sorry, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've had plenty of those, like a month later stories.
It's funny hearing shit from the inside. But regarding recommending friends for jobs, I actually, you know who I'm talking about. There's one guy that I've worked with 3 times that almost got me fired twice, and technically did lose me a contract once because of his sheer incompetence. I bring him on, negotiate really hard for him, and on one occasion, and negotiate a better rate for him, just like really went to bat for him. Then the asshole disappeared for an entire month and got kicked off the project, and I looked like a complete douche.
Oh gosh.
The second time, he was late on every delivery, every milestone he ever had, and then once we fired him or ended his contract, we found out and hired someone else. We found out that he had stolen everything he had done from the guy we ended up contracting.
I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
I was almost thinking of somebody else.
There are a lot of dicks out there, but then the third time, dude was a little bit more established, and he and I were not on good terms because I'd almost gotten like fucked over twice because of him being incompetent at best and a thief, opening us up to litigation at worst. This time the dude had been a little more established, was a bit more senior, but he was such a complete nightmare to work with. But he was sort of irreplaceable. It's a special kind of incompetence. He's really good at one thing, but everything else he fucking sucks at. But he's good enough at that one thing, and he holds shit together well enough that they can't really justify getting rid of him.
I understand.
But a big part of my job was being basically our producer, working with him. And he was just this massively incompetent, aggressive, horrible asshole. I mean, just constantly, talking over people, like walking away in the middle of a sentence, lying to one person, making these different people fight, just all sorts of fucked up shit, and basically played politics like crazy just to get me out of that place, because it was my job to rein him in and tell him, just like, oh yeah, this character will take 5 weeks. Like, okay, well, for the last year, every character you said would take 5 weeks takes 8 to 10. So no, we're going to be changing this. Well, no, and he'd like fuck around and just like go behind people's backs and like, okay, it'll be 5 weeks, and then go to this artist and that he was managing and just be like, oh no, spend extra time on this, do that, and make other people fight. But he managed to just turn around on me, make it look like I'm an asshole because I'm trying to make him do his job, and just he created a horrible fucking work environment for me. At the end, it ended up being me wanting to get the fuck out, and them being like, this isn't really working out because our superstar, complete douchebag shit fuck doesn't like working with you, blah blah. Yeah.
Like I said, I've been in a company where they had a guy who was, we used to hear a lot. Luckily, Blizzard has since hired so many people and gotten so huge that the Blizzard notch on the belt doesn't mean you're the best person ever. But I'm sure you remember, what would he say, like 5+ years ago? Anybody who had Blizzard in their resume, they could just roll into a place.
Oh yeah, in a second.
Yeah. Oh, ex-Blizzard guy. I worked with a guy that just bad news, was constantly going political on anybody that had any disagreement, or actually getting in physical fights, like actually, like, literal physical fights.
Jesus. Do I know this guy?
I don't know. We'll talk about him later.
Right.
We've talked about him before, but he's got a reputation. And, dude, weirdest thing, when my mom came out to visit last month, I rented a car for her, and the guy who worked at the rental car place, he used to work in the game industry. And
Whoa.
yeah, and he was like a biz dev kind of guy that worked for Red Storm.
Oh.
And he just started naming names, and I was like, yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, I know that guy. And
dude.
And then we went back to this one particular person, and he said, oh yeah, I know so and so. He had some trouble back in the days, and he pointed to his nose. Cocaine.
Yeah. Oh.
And I said,
I was thinking like nasal spray abuser, but that makes a lot more sense.
And I was like, yep. And I've known a lot of guys in the industry, not just one. And there's been plenty of them that have had that same problem.
Well, actually, just a quick funny note. Chris is based in Denver, and Red Storm is based in, was it Cary, North Carolina?
Yeah, North Carolina.
Yeah, and that blows my mind that it's that small a world.
Yeah,
that
small.
You ran it.
Everybody he said, I knew him. Every single person. He was like, this guy, that guy. I don't want to name these people or for any positive or negative. But still, when they do like a credit check on you, because it's renting a car. When they went to do the credit check on him, he goes, "Oh, don't worry about him. I know him."
We know all the same assholes.
Once you're able to name people that have been around for a long time, he's like, okay, I know this guy has a job, he has an ability, he has something going on. But
so as long as you're not literally like snorting coke in front of him, you're probably in the clear.
Yeah, this is. Look, have a good time, people. Do what you want. Don't. If you want to go out and have a good time, but just. You have to be aware when that starts messing with your personal and career.
Yeah, in my beer night, actually, I had a guy a couple months ago get banned from the place we regularly have it because
couldn't hang with his beer, huh?
No, in some senses, yes. He could not hang with his beer, but he could hang with his cock out in front of the waitresses. So he ended up getting banned from that place.
Yeah,
Apparently, I found out.
Booze. If you can't drink and not fight somebody or commit a crime, then it's not for you. Stop drinking. Get away from it. Find something else.
Without committing a crime.
Drink tea,
it's not
play
for
chess.
you.
It's your chemical setup in your body, and these things do not go together. Yeah, dude, I've known so many people that I've drank with, and they're great and they're fine. They're good times, but then there's other people that, nope, no good.
Yep.
All walks
exactly
of life. All
what
walks
you mean.
of life. We need to talk about portfolios.
Indeed. How about you riff on that? Actually, I'll give you something to riff off of because I have to use the restroom real quick. Always open an image in a new window, but the same new window, or use a Lightbox gallery plugin. The most important thing is, if I click a picture, I will see the next picture, and then make it loop at the end of the portfolio if you want. But just keep me clicking forward. I had to open, I think, I'm not even exaggerating, 60 different individual image links in new tabs from this one dude's portfolio today.
Say what?
60. Lightbox, please, for love of God. Just pop up an image, let me click, and keep seeing the next image. I'm not going to go out of my way.
Oh, you gotta go to the bathroom or something.
I do.
Okay.
I'll be back in a moment. So.
All right. Well, I'm gonna shred Lightbox on your way out.
Really? Okay.
And here's why. Some people set it up wrong. They set it up so that you can't actually save their images.
Oh, fuck the hell out of that.
But I have seen it set up right. As long as I can click on your image, I can right-click on it and say Save As. Oh, there we go.
either save or even just copy the image. I mean, just copy the image source, like copy the link.
Yeah.
Just to send to somebody. Like I send cool pictures to you and cool portfolios and whatnot. You send them to me. And just like we're like art lead and art director level people. I mean, we trade shit back and forth. This is the kind you want to have work that's sent back and forth between people like us. Not to be egotistical about it, but
no,
seriously, make it easy.
That's not really an ego situation. Yeah, you can go ahead and do your thing, but
okay, I certainly will.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really think that's an ego situation. That's a situation of we're the guys. We've been staring at this stuff for years. Like he said, he got his first kind of contracting work in 2005. The first people I hired was, I don't know the exact year, but I think it was around the year 2000. So that's probably like 11 years ago. And one of those people was John to make characters for a game we were on. The other person was Jason Salenbach, Dark Horizon, to make the textures, or as we called them back then, skins for the characters. So yeah, like when you got a portfolio and you got your gallery, if we can't save it, if we can't send it to somebody, then it's really going to limit you. One of the worst things you can do is these flash sites, because these flash sites always embed these images into something, and it's so ridiculous what people do to their art. Sometimes people like to. Oh, there's John right there.
I have returned.
I was just.
I saw you cackling.
I was just kidding. It makes me laugh. I was gonna say it's so ridiculous. Flash sites where people have their. If you just upload a JPG of your image, and then whatever compression you saved that as, that's what it is, always. But a lot of people set up so many folks will set up these flash sites that rescale and recompress their images into just the lowest form of compression. Every time it makes me laugh because we're artists and we have this thing about it's the image quality of your art. If you're making art, if you're making a character or a texture or environment or anything, you know that painting that texture for that or generating that normal, whatever it is, the source art, you don't want some sort of like JPG compressed at 0%, so it's super high. You wouldn't do that to your textures because it destroys your art. So why would you do this to the picture of your art?
Like, why would you want us to see that?
Why would it blows my mind. People just destroy. They destroy their art. They just destroy.
Let's say you're a musician.
And they put their
let's
name
say you record
right
a demo
across the
CD.
face of the character. Watermark. Sorry.
Okay, let's say you're a musician. You have a demo CD, and you record that shit like 48 kbps, which sounds like farting into a phone. Are you gonna send that to a record executive and expect him to sign you?
Right. It's like that. It is like that. You remember the old school Real Player? Back in the early days of the internet, and how it used to compress audio so bad.
Buffering.
So many, buffering. That's all it did. But when it was playing,
buffering.
It was always just like. That's how everybody sounded.
It's like the teacher in Murphy Brown.
Yeah, Murphy Brown.
Murphy Brown?
The teacher
Charlie
in
Brown.
Charlie Brown. Sorry, ma'am.
Where the fuck did Murphy Brown come from? Jesus.
Look, she had the episode where she
it's
had
almost
the
as
baby.
though I've been drinking.
And
I'm sorry, what?
She had that episode where she had that baby, and then the show disappeared, and no one in our audience knows what this show is. No, we have a few older. We do have a few statistically people that are at least late 20s to 30s that would know what Murphy Brown is.
My mom watched it. I've never actually seen it. Well, no, I think I've caught like an episode or two.
I remember
but
it.
See, kids, she had a baby, showing off the air. That's what happens when you have a kid. Your life is over. Over. You lose all your friends. Everybody hates you. People stop giving you money, and no one wants to pay attention to you anymore. Don't have kids.
That's cool.
This has been a public service announcement.
Now check this out. So yeah.
What am I checking out?
Your images are all messed up. John, right on his way out, he was talking about how if you click an image and it goes to the next image, the older versions of Photoshop had this automate web gallery.
Oh yeah, I made portfolios with that.
Apparently, I made my current portfolio with that. What you talking about? I install old Photoshop because
What
the
you
new
talking
the
about,
new
Google?
version doesn't have it. Apparently, you can get it, but you have to download it separately. I I heard the the conspiracy is that they just took it out because it was too good, and they needed to sell some other piece of software because it really is too good. It's you just put a whole folder of images and you click it and you pick templates where you could change every setting you want, the colors and layout, and it's instant.
It was awesome. I loved it.
I love it. It's so nice. But what it did is you could put it to where, okay, I have one image on my website, then I click that image and it just loads the next website, and you click that, or the next image. And you click that one and it loads the next one, and so on and so on and so on. And that's how I set up my own site, chrisholden.net. So you can look at it as an example. If you click all through every one of my images, not only will you see every one of them, but it'll then take you back to the main page at the end and kind of reset it, but lowered down to my resume, so that's pretty sweet. Unless it's broke, because I haven't looked at it in a while.
See, I would call that
Still
portfolio flow.
Yeah, flowing.
It flows well.
That's what I want. I don't want people to get stuck. I want you to be able to just keep going right through it. I want people to quickly build it. Like you would, almost to the fact that you see that you can click on my image and you think, oh, this will make a bigger version. No, you're right to the next art. Oh, you got tricked into looking more at my art. I win. I win. I just love that. I love that action. Why did you send me that image, John?
It just didn't seem to go with anything. So look in your face. Sorry, I love to troll.
Oh snap! I just got a tweet from James Green. He owns
nice.
He owns the domain crunchstudios.com, and he asked me if I wanted it.
Wow.
Maybe.
Dude, that's pretty cool. I know James. I hang out with him like all the GDC and E3 parties.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Dude, that guy is awesome. By the way, James Green, fucking amazing artist.
Yeah, he's cool.
Worked at Epic Games China for a long time as their art director. Then went to Titan Studios, which was opened by Epic Games China in Seattle, and they just started their new thing. For God, I'm such a bad friend.
Look, you can follow him at Uber Artist on Twitter.
Yes, and he is. He's as cool guy as they come. I love James. Fucking awesome dude.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we've really met up in the sense that we hung out for a while, but he always, yeah.
In the sense that he ever saw me watching.
No, you know what I mean. Like you go to these shows and sometimes you get to hang out with people. Actually, at the last GDC, the Polycount meetup was pretty awesome. We got to hang out with a bunch of those guys. The end.
Yeah, I missed that. Wait. This year's GDC?
Yeah.
Okay, man, I didn't get to go to that. It was when I was getting my company started back up again, and it's like, well, I can spend $2,500 I'd rather spend on rent, or I can stay home.
Right on. Yeah, I understand that.
Dude,
the Polycount party this last year was pretty cool because I got to actually, for the first time, I got to meet Mop, Space Monkey. A bunch of other guys. All the guys from Art Bully.
Space Monkey, dude. Space Monkey, Tim Appleby, lead character artist.
Bunch of the dudes from Crytek.
See, lead character artist from Splash Damage on Brink. Dude, I spoke with him on a panel. I ran a panel at a Casual Connect Europe in Hamburg last year. Got him and Eric Peterson, the studio art director manager guy from Grin, the Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter guys before they shut down. But so Tim, Space Monkey, was on that panel. Dude is smart as hell. Oh my god, he knows this stuff inside and out. It amazes me that he's also like an art outsourcing manager type guy. He's crazy smart at that, super organized, but he's also still just absolute top shelf character artist. Oh, yeah. It really amazes me when someone can keep up with their art and do the management aspect of it at the same time, because I'll be honest, my art skills, like my hands-on art skills, have atrophied like a motherfucker. Well, it kind of sucks. I feel really shitty about it, but I think I'm really good at the management aspect of it, so I sort of I make myself not feel bad by telling myself that. But yeah, Tim's a class act. He's smart as hell. He was great in the panel. I'm glad you got to meet him. Fucking cool dude.
Oh yeah, and Mop is a real class act too.
Never cared for him.
Oh well.
No, he and I had like a stupid rivalry, like sort of like vague rivalry thing years and years ago, and we haven't talked since at all. But that's the last thing I remember of him. It's like who's that? Who's that? Oh, that guy. Last thing I remember. Oh yeah, he's a dick. No, I mean I'm sure. I mean he was always a really good artist. I always really respected what he did. Honestly, I think we just had like a stupid like. Are
you referring to
like,
his?
We're 14. We're going through puberty. We're angry. And we're on
Are you
forums.
you're referring to his online personality?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, is he different?
Oh, like I said, meeting him in real life. As far as online people go, I was just like, this guy. He just replies to every thread. Forget about it. But in real life, you know, like I said, total gentleman. But check this out. If you really if you want to learn some action about Space Monkey, there, go to Polycount. You can look him up. You can just Google. Actually, you can just Google Space Monkey and Polycount. It might get you there. However, he's got this thread. It's pretty deep now, but like I said, if you just search, you can find it. Called Fantasy Character. And this thread, he started it in 2008, and he's still updating it, like as of very recently. So, yeah, he's been posting this ridiculously awesome art in there. I'm gonna put some.
Oh my
I'm gonna
God.
put some over you. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, I'm there, dude. Seriously, like I was saying, like that dude knows what the hell is up. Like he's as good a character artist as I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's just awesome. Anyway, I'm just scrolling through one page. But this is a 20-page thread that he's been posting for years. So yeah, awesome art. I bet he's got a cool portfolio.
I bet. Dude, seriously, that guy's so good. He could get a job anywhere, ever.
Probably.
Like if I had the means, I would hire him in a second. Just great personality, super cool dude. I imagine he's really easy to work with. Just my God,
he seemed nice. He seemed like, you know, kind of not like introverted or anything. Just, you know, kind of shy into the sense that, you know, he's got something going on in his mind right now. He's making something awesome in his brain right now.
So like the quiet, creative confidence.
Yeah. Like, so when you talk to him, you know, he's open and stuff, but he's not like running around the room going, yeah, woo, shots. You know, he's not that guy.
That I'm often that guy.
God, that's what we love about you. Hey, check this out. I'm gonna do a drink refill. How about some discussion about what should a resume have in it? Like we can do some funny stuff, like say, you know how people put stuff in their resume, like when they worked at McDonald's.
Yes. Oh God, I hate that.
Yeah. Okay. If you're applying for one type of job, then it probably doesn't matter so much your resume from another type of job. Unless I would say if you were like elite, like a high level something else, then maybe that would be worth it. But if you're, you know, cashier at GameStop, that's not going to help.
That's not a value add.
But anyway, go ahead.
Sure. So, Chris is absolutely right. Something I see not as often anymore, but like people trying to pad their resume if they're, you know, young and relatively inexperienced. Stuff like, you know, I worked at McDonald's, I worked this place, I volunteered here. And honestly, that's great that you worked, but if you're applying for a job in games, that's really not a value add of any kind, and it really comes off as padding your resume. And it ultimately, I see that as a negative. If your art is good enough to make me consider you like above that, then I won't care. But if you don't have enough going on, and you know, you're saying, yeah, I worked at Kinko's for 8 years, or I still do, that doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Honestly, I would the resumes I respect the most that they have people that don't have a lot of experience. They will flesh it out by saying, okay, well, I've been making art for this long. This is the kind of art that I've made. These are the mods I've worked on. It's trying to detail the type of experience you've done in your personal projects, and like what you've learned, what you've gained. Just like a decent summary of that. Honestly, if you can make that meaningful, if you can focus it on exactly what you're learning from the different aspects of just your amateur career and doing that, and make that more or less like fill out about a page, that's great. I respect that. I like that. And on some level, it might sound kind of weird, but on some level, it shows me that you understand what I'm looking for, but you also understand exactly what you got out of that experience. It shows me that, okay, these are the specific, relevant professional skills I learned from this, and I'm presenting them to you in a professional format. That is classy. That's professional, that's smart, and that's really putting your best foot forward. But if you put something like, I worked at Kinko's on there, that just doesn't seem like you're trying as hard. Because honestly, like, one of my philosophies is, in life, everything is experience. No matter whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, you learn something. You grow from it. You're able to, move on, grow, and get better, and keep moving forward. And I think something I've always tried to do is, even if I go through an ordeal that's really negative or something that's maybe not as great, like great situations I could be in. Maybe it's not a huge growth experience. I still try and apply myself and be creative and trying to find something I can learn from that. Something in that experience that I can quantify and put into like a little bullet list. Like, this is what I learned here. This is what I learned from that. Even if it was an unequivocally horrible situation.
I heard
that. Even if it's an unequivocally horrible situation, then this is exactly what I got out of it, and this is what I'm moving forward with. So, Chris, I was just telling him, basically riffing off of what you're saying. Like, if you worked at Kinko's, that's not a value add. The kind of resumes I respect are the ones that will take, mod experience or personal art experience and describe what they learned and like what relevant, valuable skills they got out of it. And if they can fill like a one-page resume with that and submit that, I think they're smart and self-aware enough to say, okay, these are relevant professional skills. This is what I learned by doing this. I'm not a professional. I'm an amateur, but this is the best I can do, and I'm presenting it in a professional format. I know how I'm coming off, and this is how I'm presenting myself.
Sure.
I see that as being professional and classy. I went into a lot more than that, but
I thought I heard you say something about padding. And did you talk about people that
what?
You talked about padding a little bit, resume padding. I think I heard you.
Yes.
Say, did you refer to people jumping from one company to another?
No, actually, I had not.
I don't really see it that often, but you used to see it a bit where people would work at a company, like they would go in, and as soon as the game ships, they would just jump somewhere else where a game was about to ship.
Yeah.
So that they could get a padded resume.
Yeah, I mean, I know of a guy that does that. I'm trying to remember his name.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
So I was like crapping in my teeth or something.
You, dude.
All right, I promise.
You're gonna get in
stop.
so much trouble with the internet, and look, it's not on me, folks. I've got the worst story in the world, but it's a very personal story, and if you ever want to hear it, you ask me in real life, and I'll tell you the worst story ever.
IRL.
And you know what I'm talking about. The whole here, and that happened.
Uh-huh.
But okay, check this out.
The thing, the place, that time. Yep.
If people know the difference, it's very clear. You can go somewhere, and I think I'm pretty sure I talked about this at a previous podcast, maybe not ours, but if you know when a company has major layoffs and whatever, and you kind of keep up with that thing, and so you can look at somebody's resume and see, oh yeah, well that was just where he was laid off. But if it's somebody with a whole bunch of very short, work experiences, yeah, it's a volatile industry, but usually when people are at places, they're more than a year. You're telling me this guy was at big corporate studio A, B, C, and D for less than making it through a second review period? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I absolutely. Like, I've always, honestly, just to be completely open and honest, I've always been really self-conscious about that in my own career. Because so I worked with 40R for just not super continuously for about 3 years. Went to Liquid, did that for 18 months, but I ended up leaving because they're having a hard time. They cut everybody's pay just dramatically, and I couldn't afford to live. Then I went to Ready at Dawn, and they crunched really, really hard, and I didn't want to deal with it anymore, and I hated California. So I ended up leaving after I shipped Daxter, and I got out at the best possible time. Then I went to NCSoft. At the end of that, I got laid off. Went to 2K. Into that, got laid off. And it looks like a bunch of really short stints at companies, but most of them are like either studio closures or near studio closures, and I've always been concerned about how people view that.
Oh, sure. No, that's something that you could quickly and honestly give that answer, where you're like, yeah, this layoff and layoff. You were in a bad situation. I've kind of been lucky that I've never really been in a bad spot. I've never quit, and I've never been fired from a company. I've been laid off. There's been games that have been done, and there was when we all kind of parted ways because the game was done and there wasn't anything ready to go. Like there was one company, I guess you would say, I quit because we shipped our game and then we were just spinning our wheels doing nothing, and no money was coming in. It was just a matter of time before they stopped paying us, which had happened during the project earlier. So I have one of those. It was so symbolically weird. I got another great job at a good spot, and like a thief in the night, I just went into work really late, and it was storming. And I wrote this email about I'm out. Sent the email. The next day, I got in my car and drove to the next job.
But I like the symbolism. Like as soon as you hit send on the email, there's like a flash of lightning and a crack of thunder.
It was like that. It was literally happened.
An owl calls.
Yeah. A
crow
murder.
falls
I was
dead
gonna say
in the
a
sky.
murder of crows flew up in front of me. No,
And a gaggle of geese. That's not as dramatic.
Yeah, forget about that. The only reason I quit in that fashion is, like I said, the whole place was done. It was in shambles. There was nobody even coming in. Like I said, me quitting changed nothing. Because we weren't doing anything. And like
Should you say that? Oh.
Well, I'll tell you what. The end. Point is, we were talking about resumes there. We're kind of, like we said, we get into all these anecdotes and stuff.
We do. But yeah, resumes, something that actually does kind of bug me that I noticed today in particular is trying way too hard to fill out pages. Like if you just have like random double, triple, quadruple spaces, massive numbers of page breaks and stuff.
Not just writing a description of the job you did, but using all that extra stuff.
Dude, seriously, like the same dudes I told you about earlier with the weird Supreme Pizza portfolio.
Who was that? There was somebody that had like a... God, who was this? I don't know if it was you that sent me this or I got it through work. It was some guy had a 4-page portfolio or resume.
No.
And he didn't have any professional experience yet.
What? How the hell did he fill that out?
It was just stupid stuff. I don't even remember anything in it because it was so... Yeah, like I said, it was just dumb stuff. Like, I did this and I did that at this one place and school stuff. Like everything he did through school, and then every little project he had, and every other job he had, non-related jobs. It was pretty funny, but we all got a laugh.
Still, that's pretty bad. Just yeah. I mean, okay, so just to give you a point of comparison, I've been in the industry for 10 years and I have a 2-page resume. Just because I know how to edit, I know how to cut it down, I know how to keep it really tight and relevant.
Well, you've had a whole lot of projects
too.
forever.
I have. I think
you've had
last count like 27 titles I've worked on.
Sure, you're one of those guys that I would say you have so much that you've done that you could. There's a lot of things that were important. That it's worth listing, but I'm sure you could get away with just cutting it down to like, oh, there's 6 things that I like out of all this.
Basically,
you know what I mean? It could be you could kind of look at it just like your gallery and your portfolio.
Yeah, no, that's
you've done a ton of stuff,
point.
but why not just show the good stuff? And I've known like guys that have these old veterans, like guys that have been around for 25 years, and their resume isn't really that long. They just throw in like 6 of these games that were like major hits they worked on, because you can click somewhere else to see the full list, but you don't want to see all that. You don't need to know it. Like I said, they've been around so long.
That is true. And I just realized, holy hell. I just realized apparently I lost the latest copy of my resume in my hard drive. Somehow all of it just got deleted permanently. Fortunately, I'd emailed it to a bunch of people. I was just taking a look at it. Yeah, it's 2 pages, 1,200 words, summarizing the last 10 years of my experience. Seriously, try and keep a resume to like 2 pages at most if you can. Just from everyone I've talked to, from all the resumes I've gone through, which honestly don't mean a lot to me since I deal with contract art. But from everyone I've heard from, just try and keep it to a max of 2 pages. And you don't have to tell your entire life story. Just have it be a summary. Have it be just talking points. Just have them be like conversation starters for when you are in the interview.
Yeah.
It should be enough to interest them and make them want to know more. But don't be, contrariwise, don't be an asshole and just be like, ask me to find out more. Or, ask me about my experience.
Ask me for more.
Click here for more.
Yeah, I always think it's so dumb when someone has one of those internet or like a profile,
Mm-hmm.
and under a lot of that stuff, instead of writing just something in, they just go, "Ask me." What?
It's like,
I'm not gonna ask.
I see that.
You.
I think
Actually,
no.
what I'm gonna do? We should do this as a goof. Just find communities and whatever. Just go through members lists and try to find people that have "Ask Me" written in their profiles. And here's what you do, folks. Everybody get on this. Ask them. Send them messages. Ask them, hey, I want to know what you're all about. I was reading your portfolio and it said, or your profile, and it asked me was in there. So I want to know what you're all about.
You should make that a weekly thing. Let's find one portfolio where someone says, ask me,
and
then
them.
Pimp it very first thing in the program and tell all the viewers to ask them.
Ask me.
It's like an email flash mob practically.
Yeah, it is. It's silly. That'll show them. That'll get them to write football and sports, and instead of just ask me.
Give them the right football and sports. What?
Well, look, that's better than ask me. What are you about? What are your hobbies? Ask me? No, I like watching TV. Good enough. I like watching TV too. Let's do that. We're like-minded individuals. We can really hang out now.
It's like, I like Gilmore Girls. Let's bond.
Show enough. But yeah, about the resume thing where you're talking about when you're, say it's like a conversation point. Like every job interview I've been on, pretty much, they just got my resume out and kind of read it and they go, so when you had this job here, what did you do there? And they're basically making sure that you say the same thing you wrote down.
Yeah.
So that at least that makes it a little truer. But they also can talk about that thing too.
Yeah. Well, in my experience, people I've interviewed with have never, so HR will vet my portfolio and all that shit, but when I'm actually on the interview, they've never looked at the portfolio before in their lives. Or they may not even have a copy of it and ask me to repeat everything that is on my portfolio. It can really go both ways. But actually, to be honest, I had not considered your point.
Which one?
That was a way of checking.
Oh yeah, that's what one of my earliest interviews, I noticed them. I was just noticing that he's just reading my resume and asking me to kind of repeat it. He's asking me to read my resume to him while he checks it. I've had that happen a few times.
That's
interesting. At least it seems that way, and I immediately get it. I understand that they're just making sure that look. If I can tell you what's written down there and a little more, and a cute anecdote, then it's obviously that makes it a lot truer. It makes it truer than them saying, so what did you do back at Fanny Pack Interactive? Like, I sat at a desk.
Fanny Pack Interactive.
I thought that'd be a sweet company name.
I like it. I think I'm going to register that website. Like, that was the blackmarketmarriages.com.
Go ahead.
was that domain from last podcast? Blackmarketmarriages.com.
Oh, yeah, Black Market Marriages.
That was free at the time.
Good to go.
Actually, another point about resumes, just sort of flipping us on its head, something I've always done that I think artists and anybody should do is when you go in for an interview, let's say the HR person is setting it up. If they don't tell you who you're going to be interviewing with, ask. When you get those names, hit LinkedIn, hit Moby Games, and just write a basic summary of who they are, where they've been, like what projects they worked on, in what capacity, what their role was, and just try and get a sense of just who you're going to be interviewing with. That's also a good springboard for asking questions, not about what they did or where they've been, but basing it on their experience and the kind of, well, okay, let's say I'm interviewing with a guy that's always been a technical artist, and now he's just like a technical director type person, or he may just be an art director now because he's had like a career change, but he used to be a technical artist. Interviews go both ways. You should have a list of questions prepared to ask them. So let's say this guy's been a career technical artist, then became an art director. If you found out on site at the interview without research he was just an art director, you wouldn't know that. But you'll know to have more, possibly technical art oriented questions to ask him about the job, because if you're going to be working under him, that's his field of experience. That's what he's most used to. That's kind of his worldview. So try and find ways you can relate to him.
Good to know.
And ask questions about him. Yeah, research everyone you do, write an interview with, write down everything, and write down a list of questions, and have that with you on an interview. Do your research, do your intel. You have the internet, you have Google, you have LinkedIn, you have Moby Games. That is all you need. And if you have people in common, so like on LinkedIn, let's say you're and so you look up this guy you're going to be interviewing with. You're like, oh, okay, I'm connected to him through, Deion Sanders or whatever.
Bo Jackson.
It's like. Excellent fucking reference. Nice.
Bo knows. He knows this art director. Hey, I was just going to say that you did have a really good point there. You're saying like researching the guys, and a lot of times when you are getting a job or going into an interview, that boot, dude. When you're going into an interview, a lot of times you found out the job through a mutual friend. That's very, very common. So again, you can talk to them and ask, hey, who's the people who's your boss, who do I have to deal with? So you can research very easily these people.
Excellent point.
Facebook, G+, Twitter, it's all on that shit. Oh, it's there.
Yeah, seriously, everywhere, especially Google+. There's so many game developers on there, and since it's more like Twitter, you can follow people on there, and you can find out about them from there. Granted, I'm not saying stalk them, but just try and find out what professionally relevant things there are. Find out who you have in common. I always try to find different ways I know people. Today I ran into a guy I've met twice ever. I know him from like forums. It's very peripherally, whatever. Seems like a fairly cool guy, but I remember. So I'm like, oh, hey, I didn't know you're living in Austin. Who you working with now? He said, oh, he gave me a studio name. So I immediately think, oh, okay, so hey, you're working with so and so, right? He's like, yeah, actually, I have a meeting with him tomorrow. I'm like, oh, cool. Tell him John Jones said, hey, whatever. It's like it's something you have in common. That's something you want to build up with somebody, not in a manipulative way. It's just I genuinely enjoy creating connections with people, meeting with people, having something in common with them. People is the best thing to have in common with people.
Who is the jerk out there that thinks you being nice to somebody is manipulating them? That's the way you're supposed to be. You're supposed to talk to people and be nice. I'm so bad about like when I'm really doing something at work, I'll get so tunnel vision into it. I'll just and somebody comes in, I'm like, hey, I'm just an old school artist, and I can't help it. I try to be nice as much as I can, but I'm guilty as anybody. I'm just not maybe I might come off off-putting to somebody at first because I was
at first.
Really, and for the rest of your life. But because I'm really I really get the tunnel vision. I'll get to thinking about some art I'm working on, and you just walk to the bathroom or something, and somebody walks by and says, hey, and I'm like, didn't even know. It just happens sometimes.
I mean, nobody's perfect.
We're artists. We're weird.
I try to like with the hair color and shit. I try to have that be my excuse for being weird. Like, oh, I'm an artist. I have a dozen holes in my head.
Everybody look at me. Attention.
I shouldn't be Well, yeah.
I'm interesting looking. I'm probably interesting to talk to.
Well, not everybody falls for it.
Yeah. No, you've done that kind of. You worked on both at the same time. But I was kind of making that as a joke. So I know a lot of people that are like heavily tattooed or have some kind of crazy hair, or whatever. like, oh wow, look at that guy. He must have led an interesting life. And then you talk to him, and it's like, whew,
Yeah, nope.
nothing to say. You got 3 stories, then you're out.
Two of them are about how you got these tattoos.
Yeah. One story's about this sleeve, the other story's about this sleeve, and the other story's about his piercings.
Prince Albert, always a fun story. But actually,
did you
just
get one of
weird.
those? No, just kidding.
Jesus, no, nothing below the ears.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, I know. I just I don't want to have anything to do with that. But I'm actually just side note, like building off what I was saying earlier about how when I got into sales that like made me outgoing. I realized that I was never going to get anywhere in my career unless I learned how to deal with people better and be personable, be sociable, and just be able to, I don't know, command attention.
It helps.
So one of the things I did was I started dyeing my hair. I shaved it into a mohawk. I made myself as visually different as possible so that, you know, I'd basically be the first thing people notice. And more often than not, that's a conversation starter. That forces me into to social situations that I wouldn't enter into myself.
Oh God, I used to have the color hair action too back in the
really
early 2000s. Back when I worked at Jalico, I rocked green hair. Well, one of the
I remember the green. Yeah.
One of the guys I worked with, Ben Fader, his girlfriend, now wife, girlfriend at the time. She was a hairdresser from like Bulgaria. I hope I said that right. Anyway, yeah, she would just do people's hair for them. And so, yeah, anything you wanted. Crazy colors.
Nice.
And so I would just do different things. I did the blonde, I did the green. I don't know what all colors I did. I did it quite a bit. And there was one time I was in some random restaurant that I maybe went to once, and this lady came up to me, and I had the green hair, and I had this green, you know, like that kind of shiny, it's like a soccer jersey. Like that kind of material, and it was green, the same color as my hair.
Nice.
And so she just came up to me, and she's like, "Thank you for being so colorful.
Aww.
You add interest to the world." I'm like, "All right, cool."
You add inches to the world.
Like interest. I do add inches because I'm like 6'4". Jeez, it's ridiculous. It hit my head, everything.
But see, it's a great conversation starter. And actually, back when I was single. I had the mohawk. It was probably about yay high, bright orange. Occasionally I'd have it
tall.
like. Do what?
Referring it was about this tall. You say you just get yay tall. What is yay?
I don't know.
Is that like yaw?
It's like yoy.
Yoy?
But it was pretty big, rather majestic and bright and everything. But on, Jesus, at least 10 different occasions, just like I'd be out at a bar hanging out with friends or whatever, girls would always want to, touch the hair, and that was a great conversation starter.
Oh yeah.
And I eventually turned it into like a transaction. Just like, okay, if you want to touch my hair, then I get to touch you. And I got to second base like well over a dozen times just at random in the middle of a bar, just because they want to touch the hawk. But yeah, just the hair color.
On them, bro. They're only girls.
Well, I used to give it out for free, but I was,
Nice.
the time was a hot commodity. But no, seriously though, when I started doing the whole hair thing, it forced me into social situations where I had to be, at least temporarily, the center of attention, which I hated, which made me really uncomfortable, but I knew it was something I needed to do, so I threw myself in there, and then I just got to the point where I became comfortable with it and kind of used to it. I still kind of fight with ego and being borderline megalomaniac and everything, but I've always done really well by throwing myself into terrifying situations where I think I have something to learn.
Yeah, there's something to be said for just putting yourself into crazy situations, just so you can have really interesting stories too. I mean,
That's been my life.
That's like the professional comedian philosophy is a lot of these guys party really, really hard. Tons of comedians just died from like alcohol and pills because they're just partying so hard all the time, doing all these crazy things, just so they have all these crazy stories to tell. And there's something to that.
I never thought of it like that.
There is something to that.
Shit, that's really interesting, actually.
Like I had this. I was talking to somebody about this where I worked with somebody that things they just got really wild. Like I said, when they went out and drink or something, they just couldn't handle it. So you just have to cut it. You can't go out with them all the time. You got to cut them off. But still, maybe every now and again you jump into their world. You're like, all right, let's go. And you go out with them, and everything happens according to plan. They get your boot. Like I said, everything goes according to plan. They get crazy, and something happens. There's either a fight or some weird incident, but there you go, boom, story. Ready to go.
That's awesome. That's why, well, I live a lot of my life that way for kind of exactly that same reason. Like, I've learned not to give a fuck and realize any consequences I imagine are almost certainly going to be overblown, because any smart person can rationalize their way out of anything. So I decide, I'm at the point where I don't give a fuck enough where I will do just about anything just to see, just to prove to myself, I'm making this up in my head. It's not as big a deal as I think. And more often than not, I mean, sometimes it'll blow up in my face, but it ends up being an interesting story in the end, and I gain a little something from it. In a way, I feel that gives me a little bit more zest for life, just because I'm willing to do things that I think most other people aren't, just because, fuck it, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
And that will be written
I know what you're talking about.
on my gravestone.
Oh, sure. I think I know exactly what you're talking about, and if you kind of follow all the crazy dumb things I've done over the years, you would see, okay, that guy, he does do some crazy stuff. But I've noticed as I get older, the percentage of me doing that goes down.
How old are you now?
32.
Jeepers.
Take for example, okay, there's something you can either walk around it or just jump over it, like a metal chain hanging between two bars, and it's not that high, easily you can jump over that. But the older you get, the more it goes through your mind. Every single time you've seen somebody jump over a chain and get their foot caught, or every video that you've seen on the internet of somebody trying to jump over a chain, like on a skateboard or something, and their foot catches on this chain, and then all hell breaks loose. Because if it's on a video on the internet, people have the worst case scenario, like the dude goes like head first into a spike and dies, or or just breaks his arm. You know what I mean? All this stuff starts playing through your head. So even though I can still do it, you start taking a lot less of these risks. Or you take them more calculated. But, and on the other hand, like I said, I did the pro wrestling thing for a couple of years, and one of the biggest things about the training is personal safety. Like, you don't throw caution to the wind. Everything you do, you've trained. You know what to do. You know how to. If you find yourself in a bad situation, you're also trained to know how to get yourself out of that, so that you don't put your body or someone else's body in extreme danger. So yeah, I mean, like I said, you get older and that stuff gets, the value of it seems a little lower.
Shit gets realer.
Yeah, it gets real.
Yeah, it happens. Like that time I took a dive down those stairs and hit my head in a boulder. That, in retrospect, that wasn't the best move. Granted, it wasn't a fully voluntary move, but
I broke a couple bones, so
I've, through the stupid shit I've done, I've broken every single knuckle, every single finger, and every single toe I have. Mostly within the last 10 years.
You're a wild man. You can take it easy on those ends. Those were all masturbation accidents.
Man. Hey, come on. Half of them were masturbation accidents. I don't use my left hand.
43%. Yeah, but but yeah, we should wrap this up. I know how it's like I said, we started late.
The on the note of the manner in which I masturbate and how badly I do it.
You're not wearing pants, are you?
See, God no.
Cool. Well, check
Dude,
this out.
It's Wednesday.
It's no pants Wednesday. What day do you wear pants? Well, there's Saturday night out at dinner, pants night. Other than that, no pants. All the
Yeah, dude. When I work at home, I don't wear any goddamn.
I just wear these. When I come home, the first thing I do is boom, strip, because I'm, like I said, riding the bike.
Oh,
Sweaty.
totally.
I got to cool off. But I put on pajamas. I totally Mr. Rogers. Remember Mr. Rogers comes in, first thing he does, changes out
Yes.
the top, that sweater, switches into his loafers. I do the same thing. Just boom.
Like
Total switch.
in normal weather circumstances when I'm contracting from home, I wear a hoodie, no shirt, and gym shorts. I used to
That's
I
very
rented
comfortable, by
from
the way. A hoodie
game.
and
Oh, God,
a hoodie
awesome.
and gym shorts, dude.
It's freaking amazing. But I used to rent a room from a game industry recruiter who also worked from home, and she'd wear like sweatpants as sort of bullshit t-shirts, and so we'd like hang out. Like I'd be working in my room, she'd working in the living room in her office, and we'd go out and chat for a bit. But we'd always just be wearing our leisure wear, and so whenever we'd see one or the other one wearing pants, it's just like, oh, where are you going?
Was there a funeral? A wedding? What happened? Do you have
It's
to,
like, oh,
is somebody hurt?
fancy.
Do you have to go to the hospital?
Going to a funeral. Okay, your video and audio quality just completely bottomed out.
All right, that's on your end. Anyway, like I said, we got to wrap this up anyhow. So check
Okay.
this out. Illuminate, a UDK game I released for free this week. I made it.
Which is awesome.
I made it in one night, and you can beat it in probably 10 minutes. It's really simple. It's a mini game. Nothing too spectacular. Check it out. You can find it on my Twitter feed. You can find it. There's a video for it with a link in my YouTube channel. So, like, if you can't find it, how did you get this computer plugged in? Anyway,
And by the way, he is at Chris Holden Dev on Twitter.
yeah, and he's at John Jones. You can go to chrisholden.net or thejohnjones.com.
That's Jon Jones, not a John. That guy's a dick.
Whoa, you don't even know him.
No, I
But
don't.
anyway, make sure you
I
you follow it. You can't say the wrong one last. You have to say the right one last. So it has to be Jon. Wait, thejohnjones.com. Yeah, because if you say the last thing, everybody remembers the last thing. Because I used to tell everybody, they said, "Oh, where are you from?" So, "Oh, I was from South Carolina, but I lived right on the North Carolina border." So, so all they said, "Oh yeah, you're from North Carolina," my whole life.
Interesting.
But maybe
That's-
they just
that's a good-
they just don't want to remember South Carolina, which is fine.
Maybe they just
Actually,
don't
I
care.
should start lying and say I'm from North Carolina, and they're like, "Whoa, you're a pretty cool guy." That's
Has
where
that
a lot
ever
of
happened?
companies are.
Has that ever happened?
No, wait, what part?
Just saying, oh, you're from North Carolina, you're a cool guy?
No, never. No one cares about that. So yeah, thanks for listening. We had a good time here, and hopefully everything
Indeed.
recorded, and hopefully I got my new intro in there too. I posted.
Oh.
I actually posted it on YouTube, but if you saw that, forget about it. I should probably just delete that video because I went back and it was like one really late night where I was kind of into this weird sound, and I went back and adjusted it. Like I totally redid everything. So yeah, hopefully.
Don't say that last. There is no video on YouTube. Ignore that.
Anyway, yeah.
I learned a thing.
I think this worked out pretty well, and
Indeedly do.
I'm gonna hit all those buttons that stop everything.
All right.